Hey, we tried to do this yesterday and it didn't work out so well, so we are going to give it another attempt today. We are currently running a print over here on the giveaway Anycubic Cobra Go, and we are going to get some additional prints rolling and take a look at some functional part design tonight. It's a little bit bright right now because we are looking, or it's the middle of the day still, so I've got a window right here I haven't gotten curtains for. Um, Kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll get that addressed later, but I wanted to have some fun and hang out. Should be right around an hour or so. Just a quick reminder, we are going to be giving away this Anycubic Cobra Go at 1,000 subscribers. You have to be in the US to enter, and there will be a video linked in the description for you to be able to take a look and get entered to win that printer potentially. And then every 250 subscribers, we are giving away a spool of Polymaker filament. As of right now, we're at 229 subscribers, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. We are really close to hitting that goal, and hopefully we are there in the next little bit. I'm really excited to start giving some stuff away to you guys. 3D printing is a really big deal for me, and if I could do something to kind of give back to the 3D printing community in some way, I want to do it. We have great people in the community like Loyal Moses, who's doing a ton of giveaways, a lot of filament. He's given away dozens and dozens of machines, and that is an energy that I am really hoping to be able to replicate. So if I can do anything with that, I would absolutely love to. So what we have going on the Cobra right here is a print that I started last night. It is a really cool dragon skull that I found on printables, and it is printing in a cotton white Polymaker Polyterra PLA. We're sitting at 19 hours and 53 minutes right now. The initial estimate from printables was actually, or I'm sorry, not printables. The initial estimate from Cura was actually 16 hours and 25 minutes, which in reality seems to not be the case. It is looking like it's close to done. Looks like we're close to done with anything that needs supports, which is just fantastic. I am not a big fan of printing with supports. In fact, I used to go way out of my way to avoid printing anything that required support material, and it's only been within the last, I don't know, year or so that I decided that printing with supports wasn't quite so scary, and I'm kind of glad that I did, because it's opened up a world of new types of models that I can print and not feel intimidated by, like this dragon skull here. So something I'm working on, and we are going to take a look at on the stream here tonight, is I have a wired lavalier mic that we've been using for the pre-recorded videos on the channel, and unfortunately I am a klutz and I stepped on it and broke the clip. So I did start yesterday designing a new clip and printed out a really quick prototype in this Polyterra PLA, and it's awesome. The problem is Polyterra PLA is not for functional parts, and what happened is I printed this as basically all walls. One of the walls actually started to delaminate when I tried to clip it onto the microphone. It still functions for what I needed to do and would be good enough, but it's not very strong. So I'm working on a couple of other projects at the moment, And I actually have some inland ASA loaded up in the Anchor Make M5 right now, and have these really cool parts, another original design, a little bit of warping that happened. So my grandpa is in the midst of doing some reworking of his camper and was moving his taillights. His current taillights are obstructed by an aluminum toolbox that he put on, and he found some aftermarket ones that he really liked, but the problem is he has a hole sticking out the side of his camper where the wires come out of, and needed a way to cover it. So I actually printed him a spacer bracket to use on these new aftermarket lights, and he needs something to cover the hole coming out of the wall of the camper and the wire be able to still run through it. So I came up with this really cool little square block design that I initially printed these out this morning on the Bamboo P1P, because that was the machine that I had this ASA loaded up in. Turned out mostly awesome. There was no warping or anything. I was really impressed with the bed adhesion and overall lack of warping, because I don't have that enclosed. As of the moment, I don't have any enclosed printers. So the reason that I reprinted them and we just pulled them off of the Anchor Make is they actually turned out kind of rough. They were under extruded a good deal, and what I think might have happened with that was actually when I came out to the shed to check on the parts, I noticed that the filament spool had actually been pulled off of the spool holder. When I first got the P1P, I had an issue where the cheap Allen keys that were included did not fit the hole very well on the spool holder. If any of you have seen the kind of instructions or watched a video on the Bamboo Lab machines, you may have seen basically one of the only things that you have to do to that printer to get it running is to install the spool holder. And when I did that, I actually stripped out one of the screws, the one that's already installed in the back of the printer. And so I've actually just used one screw for the spool holder on my P1P pretty much since I got the machine. And looked like over time that the spool's been working its way loose, or I'm sorry, spool holder screw, and it was kind of moving back and forth. And when I came out to the shed to check on what happened with the print and show it to my grandpa, I noticed that the spool holder was shifted and the spool, a filament, was actually on the floor beside the printer. So the extrusion forces had actually pulled the spool off of the machine. Not a super big deal, but there was also a lot of under extrusion, so it looked like there might have been a lot of resistance on the spool as we were printing with it, which that was really rough to hear or see, I suppose. He said it was fine. I wasn't super thrilled with it, so what I actually wanted to do was test out how everything would look with the Anchor Make. I've only printed PLA with it so far, so I wanted to see if it could handle ABS/ASA with it being a bed slinger and unenclosed. Overall, I'm super stoked with the quality of the parts. The only downside is all four corners of both of these parts did warp away, which is really unfortunate. Being said, this is a functional part. Aesthetics aren't everything as long as the strength is there. and it looks like it didn't impact any of the screw holes or anything. I just got it cleaned up with the knife. Overall, I'm really, really happy. This is some beautiful filament. I just need to get something enclosed so I don't have to deal with the potential warping with ABS and ASA. But the parts are rock solid. I am super, super stoked with that. I think a little bit of sanding, and I might actually give a try to vapor smoothing these. I have some acetone on hand, so I might try to sand these sides and get it cleaned up that way. But these two little blocks will do for what my grandpa needs them to do. And seeing as we already have the ASA loaded up into the anchor make, that's what we're going to work on the lavalier mic clip with. So I'm going to go ahead and get the build plate reinstalled on the printer. And then we're going to take a look at what's going on the bamboo. So, first, my face is really bright, so I'm going to see if I can do something about this lighting situation. One moment. Okay, let's take a look and see if that's any better. I realize that my lighting solution is suboptimal. Let's take a look at the camera here and see how we're looking. It's a little bit better. So we're just gonna have to rock with this for now until I get some curtains or shades out here. Most of the time the streams are gonna be later in the day, so the sun coming through probably won't be an issue anyway. But I need to work on light control in this room for filming in general. But back to the point. So the bamboo spool holder is a really basic one. It's just a flat bar. It's not round or anything, which I kind of hate that. I mean, that's a $700 printer, and the X1 Carbon's like $1,200–$1,300 on its own. A little bit nicer spool holder would have gone a long way. I mean, the spool holders on the machines like the Anycubic aren't that much better, but as more and more companies are starting to switch over to these cardboard spools, it does make things kind of difficult to work with, and I kind of am annoyed that I spent like $700 on a machine that has a subpar spool holder. However, the 3D printing community is really awesome, and there are some solutions for it. I found a really cool model on Printables this afternoon that will use the standard spool holder that comes with the machine and adapt it to use a couple of 608 skateboard bearings. So that was actually what we were printing in Polymaker Polylite Black PLA on that machine. I'm super thrilled to be able to use the stock spool holder and add bearings. Now, that is relevant for a couple of reasons. Number one, it reduces friction, and most companies are starting to switch to cardboard spools. Like right now, I have and predominantly use Polymaker filament. It's just good stuff. I've never had an issue printing with any of their filaments. The Polylite series, super, super consistent, super great color variety. I just love it. And Polymaker themselves is an awesome company, very involved in the community. And I enjoy supporting companies that support people. So those cardboard spools have more friction than the plastic spools that we're used to. So if we could do something to reduce that friction, like a little quick print, I believe that this took right around an hour and a half on the bamboo. You only need 2 pieces added to your actual spool holder and then 2 skateboard bearings. So let's get these supports popped off and see how the print turned out overall. Now, the reason that these supports are on this kind of wedge shape is there's actually some logo, some embossing done on the bottom of this, preventing it from printing flat, but it makes it fit into the spool holder really nicely. The supports look like they're going to come off clean, but I am not having much success without tools, so I'm going to break out the handy dandy Leatherman and use an incorrect tool for the job. I have found that a leather awl that is included on most multi-tools, like a Leatherman or Swiss Army knife, works really, really well for me for support removal. Now, you do have to be careful because one of the edges is slightly sharp. But why I like to use this is that really fine point on there can really get into some of these nooks and crannies if you just give a gentle twist. Now, you do have to be careful. I have done this in the past and sent the tool just absolutely rocketing into my hand, and it hurt. And that was a pretty funny thing on Christmas after my great grandpa just got done telling me that I was going to stab myself in the hand, and I assured him that I in fact was not going to stab myself in the hand. So what did I do? Stabbed myself in the hand, and I proved the old man right. But we live and we learn, and we continue to do the same things that get us hurt over and over and over and over again, such as the spice of life. So, just getting these supports removed, breaking free with a bit of resistance. Part of why I hate printing things that require supports. Hey, Beau, thanks for letting me know that my audio is fixed. So, as some people know, I tried to do this stream, or a similar one yesterday, and I managed to mess up the audio. I haven't done a live stream of any kind in over a year, and I had 2 audio inputs being used, so everything that I said was super duper echoey, and it sounded terrible. So I promptly hid that video because nobody's going to watch it. If I clicked onto that video, I would turn it off. So I just sat here for, I don't know, an hour and 20 minutes playing with printers, playing with Fusion 360, just absolutely talking to myself. And it was, I mean, I had a lot of fun, but the bad audio was a real bummer because I can't really use that content for anything, and there were some good snippets in there. But we learn. We learn. So I'm just trying to get some supports cleaned out of these holes here. Overall, I'm super happy with the quality of this print. I mean, there's no under extrusion. The layers are stacked up on here beautifully. So I have no reason to believe that I necessarily had a filament issue, because I just printed out a ton of parts. I'm actually getting ready to do the Vision enclosure mod on the P1P. So I've been printing all of those parts out of Inland ASA, which is Micro Center's kind of house brand as far as I'm aware. And the parts have all come out just fantastic. I just think that I was having some sort of issue with that spool holder causing resistance. So we got all of our supports cleaned up off of the kind of body piece, and the print looks fantastic. Polylite black PLA comes out amazing all the time. Here's the underside where all of the support material was just removed from. I mean, it's not super smooth, but you can live with it. I mean, again, unfortunately in 3D printing, support material is kind of a necessary evil if you want to do anything that doesn't just lay flat. Now, our second piece here is actually what the spool of filament is going to ride on, and the creator for this model has two different versions of this. This one is actually a kind of concave part that is designed for the spool to self-center. So as it's rolling on the spool holder, it will auto-align and come out to be close to center. Now those supports broke off a lot easier. You just had to start breaking them away with a pair of pliers, and okay, bye. A little bit of cleanup there. And our underside is probably pretty hard for you to see without me being able to zoom in, but it turned out really good. So my plan is I am not going to be able to do this evening because I don't know where all of my bearings are. I like to keep random bobs and bits on hand for 3D printing projects. Skateboard bearings. I make a lot of fidget toys, so I keep 603 magnets in stock. I'm sorry, not 603, 6x3 millimeter magnets I keep in stock. So that way I have them, and I like to use them for different projects. Like my fidget toys, they're good for other things, like refrigerator magnets, or if you want to do some sort of like cable fixture, like hold your phone cable to a magnetic shelf or something. So I like to keep magnets on hand, and then I like to keep a lot of cap head metric hardware, like M3 bolts and nuts are huge. They seem to be a really common size in 3D printing projects, and you can buy assortments of them on Amazon, like dirt cheap, which I think is absolutely awesome. You can't beat it. So I do want to start building out some more inventory for more parts that I keep on hand, like other size magnets, get some more bearings in stock, heat set inserts. I just saw today, and I'm super excited for this. It looks like Stefan from CNC Kitchen is actually about to release a heat set insert tool designed for the TS100 style soldering irons, which is the type of soldering iron that I have, and I love it because it's small and heats up super fast. The problem is all of the other companies I've seen that are doing these soldering iron inserts aren't making any tips for the TS100 style, which, I mean, that's okay. However, if we have a really good, well-known figure in the community like Stefan, I actually purchased his CHT, or not CHT adapter, but his Volcano to V6 style adapter, and put it on the Anycubic Cobra that I used to have, which I sold to a good friend of mine, and we put a CHT nozzle in it. So based off the quality of that part, I'm really excited for Stefan's heat set insert part to become available, because I will absolutely be picking one of those up, and I can start keeping some heat set inserts in stock out here in the shed, because they are super handy to have around. I mean, it's a lot better connection than just threading directly into plastic. Like, I didn't worry about any type of mechanical hold onto these blocks because we're using longer self-tapping screws that they're actually through holes on this. So I designed these boxes in a way that the screws will come all the way through and they're countersunk to have a nice wide shoulder for them to grip on and have that nice clean flush look, which super excited. Can't wait to see these on the camper. I'll make sure to post pictures of that in action. Well, those are kind of the two projects we have going on at the moment. So we got these blocks cleaned up. I'm a little bummed about the warping, but they are definitely serviceable parts. They are going to do the job that they need to do. So we are gonna ship them. And by ship them, I mean my grandpa lives up the road from me, so I'm gonna deliver them to him in person tomorrow when he's home. I'm really excited to get the spool holder installed on the Bamboo tomorrow. I really enjoy these spool holder mods. Like on the anchor make back here, I actually installed a cool mod that's a slip ring that goes on your spool holder for basically the same thing. It reduces friction, and it does let these cardboard spools roll a lot nicer on that support rod. So I definitely think that there is something to that. I think it's going to help out with the Bamboo and making sure that things don't catch. And then I also found the necessary screw, and I did get that straightened out. So the Bamboo is now assembled fully, properly, with 2 screws in the spool holder, which is awesome for the time being, but I'm hoping I can find a really good model for relocating the spool holder to the side of the machine when I start working on the vision enclosure. So that way I don't have to keep reaching around the back of the machine anymore. It is annoying. I think that's one of my biggest gripes with the machine, is that the spool holder is in the back. So it limits where you can put the machine and how far away from the wall it has to be and things like that. So I'm really excited to get that moved flush so that way the back of the machine is occupied. So I think what I'd like to do is actually us jump over into Fusion 360 and take a look at where we're at with the lavalier mic clip. So we're going to get that pulled up here. Let's see. Let's see. Alright, still trying to learn all of these streamer tool things, so you'll have to bear with me for not 100% knowing what's going on. So, I have made some changes to my initial clip design. One of the things that I wanted to do was actually make these little legs longer, because on the very first rendition that I just broke, I had a hard time getting these clips onto my shirt, so I made them longer and added this little bit of a flare here at the bottom, so that way it's easier to guide the collar of your shirt or clothing that you're wearing into the mic. Now, I was really happy with the overall pinching action. The second thing that I did was I added these 2 little, like, wings. Actually, it looks like we might not be seeing the screen. One moment. We're having some technical difficulties. Let's see if we can get that fixed. Hey, there we go. Okay. So, let's see. What do we got going on here? Okay. So, what we've got going on is we had... Where's my mouse? Where's that mouse hiding? There it is. Okay, so these little legs right here were not long enough. and that was causing it to be difficult to get the clip onto your shirt. And then there was nothing guiding the microphone into this little retention ring, which was quite snug. So I think that the fix on that is actually going to be, I'm going to do a little bit of an offset face on these two inside corners. Or not. You know what? Let's just ship it. It's like a 2.5 minute print. I have a premium naming system. So let's get the Anchor Make program brought up here. So 1 moment, please. Check on something. Okay, so what I wanted to check and see was if I had one of my other clip prototypes on hand. I was doing some rearranging out here in the workshop earlier, and unfortunately I do not, so it's okay. We don't really need it. Again, this print only takes like 2 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and give it a go. This is lav mic holder number 3. And there were a couple of things that I didn't like on those last parts that I printed on the Anchor Make. So we're actually gonna try to turn the cooling all the way off, with the machine being open air. Don't need supports for anything. And the other thing that I think it might have printed a little bit too hot. So we're actually going to turn this temperature down, or attempt to. This slicer is kind of annoying. There are some real difficulties trying to make anything happen. Oh, that is so much raft. Or brim. Don't love that either. So let's actually try to turn that brim off as well. For a part this small, and with it just being a prototype, I don't think we need the brim. So we're going to try no brim. And then now let's see if we can change our material temperature. We can. So we're going to bump that down to 245. Slice. Like, legitimately, 2 minutes and 36 seconds. It's going to end up having taken longer to slice this model than it's going to take to print. and we will send it. The machine makes that beep every time I send a print to it. I haven't looked to see if I can make that not be a thing, but I would really like to make that not be a thing. That beep is very annoying. So, here is kind of the view that we have on kind of what we're looking at in the Anchor Make Slicer. Just doing a quick check to make sure I put the build plate back on straight. And we're waiting for this to heat up. Honestly, that's probably going to be the longest part of this entire print, is just waiting for the build plate to heat up. I probably should have preheated it while I was getting everything else prepped, but you know, we don't do things that make sense all the time. Alright, so while we wait for that to heat up, why don't we So, while we wait for that to heat up, we are going to talk about kind of some of the things that are going on with the Cobra Go. So, the reason that we have the Cobra Go printing right beside me on the workbench is because we're giving it away. When the channel hits 1,000 subscribers, we're giving that Cobra Go away. And we're going to give it away to a subscriber who comments on the unboxing and initial setup and first print video for the Cobra Go. So far, the little machine's been awesome. It's been pumping out some pretty solid quality parts. I did have some issues with it immediately upon getting it set up, but the overall performance of the machine has been pretty well rock solid since then. Now, I have been noticing a little bit of under extrusion on it as of late. However, the only parts that I've noticed under extrusion on have been a handful that have been printed in the last 2 days. So, for a joke on TikTok the other day, I printed these 2 raptor claw pieces, and there's just a little bit of under extrusion right there. It might be kind of hard for the camera to pick up, but both models have a little bit of under extrusion in the same area. They were printed at the exact same time. So I think that under extrusion might have been due to the filament that I'm using. And the other part that I noticed some under extrusion on was this. So what this is supposed to be is a like reverb or resonance chamber from one of the Jurassic Park movies. Basically a raptor call in the movies and maybe in real life. I'm not sure. I'm not a raptorologist. This was supposed to be the chamber that the raptors use to make noise. I printed this kind of weird looking thing because last weekend I made a TikTok about these water whistles that I made that were bird sized or bird shaped that did a like warbling noise when you blew into them and whistled as water bubbled. And somebody commented on that video saying that I should make a raptor call. So after doing some scouring around the different print repositories, I ended up finding and printing this out. I think the model turned out really, really solid. I just noticed that the matte nature of Polyterra does make supports on it kind of tricky. It's a weaker filament, and from my experience, Polyterra seems to be a little bit more prone to scarring, especially if you're using support material. It's not the end of the world. Like, I'm still overall really happy with the way that this turned out. I just maybe haven't necessarily found a happy printing temperature for it with the Cobra Go yet, because I do have just a little bit of under extrusion on this part. Now, I did bump up the temperature on the Dragon, and it looks really solid. There is a little bit of under extrusion, but it's not the end of the world. I have some really cool ideas. Like, what I want to do is I think that this super white filament is the perfect candidate to try to add some color to. So I have two of these raptor claws, and I have a little bit of an experiment in mind. I think one of them I want to try to give an aged look by using tea, and the other I want to try coffee and see if I could use those two kind of common beverages to function as a dye for that really soft white filament. Just kind of an idea I've been kicking around in the back of my head for the last couple of days. Now let's take a quick look over and see what we've got going on with the anchor make. See, this print's only 18 layers. We are up to temp on the hot end, and we are almost there on the print bed. It does take some time to get there, but it does work overall really well. So I'm really excited to keep the prints coming on the Cobra Go. So far, the machine has been, after getting past some issues that we'll talk about in the full review, the machine's actually been an absolute joy to use. It's super quiet, prints at a decent speed. I had fun doing the assembly, and there's just something about this little screen that it's got. It's kind of an adorable little printer. Ender 3 size, automatic bed leveling. It does have like a Mark 8 style Bowden extruder. Kind of a bummer that we have all of these really solid dual gear extruder options out, and it's still using that. Being said, this machine, when I bought it, was $129 on sale at Micro Center. So if the worst thing about it is the fact that it has a low quality extruder, I'm okay with that. Looks like the anchor make is at temp, so we'll cut back over to that camera, and I will let you guys see what we've got going on with that guy. Let me get out of your way here. So this is the screen that I see while the anchor make is running. Now it is going to get kind of loud in here. The anchor make is not a quiet printer by any means. But she does scoot. I mean, we're a minute in, and And the print is about halfway done. And we've only got about a minute to go. That machine's been a lot of fun to use so far. And it does make that annoying beep when a print finishes too. But it's pretty cool that I can go from a model that I just modified to a part in like 2 minutes of total print time. So let's see how it looks. This is very hot, this build plate is, because it was printing at 100 degrees Celsius. The top layer is not super smooth, but it is a really tiny part, and that machine was moving super quickly. So, let's see if we can get it pulled off here. We can. Alright. So, let's actually see if we can get you in there with the iPhone camera. I want to make sure that you guys can see this kind of up close. I think it looks really good overall. Let's see here. Okay, so here we are. So here is our little baby part. Let's see. Are we in focus there? I think we are. So the top layer, nothing to super write home about. Again, it was a little part, moving really quickly. That first layer though, gorgeous. I really, really am enjoying this filament. This is Sprinkle Blue ASA from Inland, and I think it is some really, really awesome stuff. Now, let me see if I can rig something up so that way I can hold this camera in place and we can get a zoomed in view. Sorry, I don't want to make anybody motion sick there. But I want to try to get a zoomed in view of getting the part set up on the lav mic. Let's see. I do not have anything to prop this phone up with. That's a bummer. Let's see. No, that won't work. Well, sorry about that. Let me just grab the microphone and we'll see if it fits. Alright, so we we've got our little lav mic. We've got our little lav mic shirt clip. And I'm just going to try to force that baby on there. Now, one of the reasons I thought ASA over PLA for this is PLA is a really, really rigid filament, and ASA is more ductile and has more stretch to it before it breaks. Now, I'm super stoked about that. It went in with minimal resistance. It just snapped snugly into place. I think these two little like guiding wings that I put on there helped a ton. Let's see how hard it is to remove. It's not hard to remove, but that thing shot out of there like a rocket. So, let's see. Just clip to my shirt that way. Snap it back into place. Now let's take a look. Now this is kind of stressing the inside of this. I did make it fairly rigid on purpose. Like, I wanted it to have solid retention on here, and it doesn't necessarily need to go in and out super regularly, but it does fit. I don't know if I like or dislike the fact that I can spin this thing like a fidget spinner, but I guess it's kind of cool. But what's important is it's in there firmly and is not going to easily come out. So I think I'm okay with that. You get that little bit of flex without breaking. So we'll just do a quick check and see if everything fits the way that we want it to. At least when it comes to the shirt. Now what I'm hoping is that these little wings that I designed on help it to guide into place, and it does. So, with a 3D printed clip, I was able to successfully get my lavalier mic back into commission on my shirt. Overall, super happy with that, and I'm going to print a bunch of those little clips up, so that way, when I get clumsy or careless again in the future and break one of these, I have a backup. Overall, really, really solid. I'm really happy with the model, and just for giggles, I think we'll upload it on printables later. But lavalier mic's back in commission. Got a pretty solid little ASA print knocked out on the anchor make, and I'm going to get the build plate reinstalled so I don't forget when I want to print something on it again. I kind of want to keep playing around with ASA on that machine, but it's not really an optimal setup for ASA, given the fact that it's an open air bed slinger, and I don't have an enclosure for it. One of my biggest gripes, aside from the volume and little noises that the anchor make has, the printer does not have any type of registration marks whatsoever for the magnetic build plate. Now, I'm personally a really, really big fan of magnetic build plates as a whole. I think that it's something that's really, really nice to have, especially for large part removal. Coming from glass beds in the past, I am not a big fan of glass build plates. So the flex sheets are awesome. The problem is there are so few printers that have any type of registration marks for their build plates. Like on the Bamboo and on the Prusa machines, they have registration marks, so that way it is much easier for you to line up the build plate every single time and you get repeatability. On machines like the Anycubic, my Ender 3S1, and even the other premium priced AnchorMake M5, there are no registration spots on the bed. So it's really aggravating when you're fiddling around and you're trying to get the build plate reinstalled. Is it the end of the world? No, but it's one of those things where a little bit of forethought goes a really long way on something like that. What do you do though? So we don't really have a lot to do by way of design. Like, as of the moment, without doing any more testing, I don't really have anything that I would change on that clip. I'm really happy with the way the clip turned out. Our little buddy, the Anycubic, is printing really well. Let's show you up close what is going on with that little friend. So this dragon skull that is printing, let's see if I can hold you still for a second. So this dragon skull I found on printables and I thought was a super rad model to print in this white Polyterra. I think that looks really cool. Let's get a little closer. So this model does have a lot of supports that were needed, unfortunately. Not a fan of printing with supports. I find them annoying. But this model is going to be so cool, I think it's worth it. We'll come around here to the back side. So you can see we have some under extrusion going on back here. It's really, really evident in the support material, which if it's just on the supports, it's not the end of the world. And then on that second like horn inwards, there's a little bit there as well. Kind of a bummer. And again, I think it's the filament. I don't think it's the machine, because after getting everything dialed in, the machine has been printing really, really well. Here's our adorable little non-touch screen. It is so small, so small. Again, Cura was estimating this print to be like 16 and a half, almost 17 hours. And we're almost done, but we're well over 20 hours. I actually started this at like, I don't even remember when I started it yesterday. The machine's pretty cool. I mean, you get a decent sized build plate, a PEI coated magnetic bed, pretty decent little belt tensioners on the X and Y axes, which are much better than the belt tensioners that they included on the Anycubic Viper, because you don't need tools to adjust these. If we come up here, this top bar is actually injection molded with heat set inserts for the spool holder. Our Polyterra spool up top, looking all nice. And then my other gripe was just this little extruder. I mean, it's fine. It does what it needs to do. It doesn't feel as high quality in these days of higher end extruders, but again, this machine is sub $200 normally. It's pretty hard to be mad at that. And upgrading this extruder would not be hard by any stretch of the imagination. That would be a really easy to do first mod that I think pretty much anybody who's ever been involved in 3D printing could do, or with a little bit of guidance, even a newcomer could handle that really easily. Um, Here's my gripe on these build plates. No registration marks means that I installed that build plate slightly crooked. It's not the end of the world, just annoying. It triggers the OCD in some people. I don't have OCD, but if I did, that would be very, very annoying. And then let's just watch that go for another minute or so. Catch the sunlight, make the dragon look all majestic. This window right here is the cause of all of my problems. And it's really hot in the sunlight. But overall, this little machine's been pretty awesome to use so far. I'm really excited to get a full-length video or a full-length review recorded for it. I think still so far, I think if you could pick it up, if it's still on sale at Micro Center for $129, I think that is an absolute steal of a price. Honestly, that's going to be a pretty great price for any machine. Really, really excited with it. I'm even more excited to give it away. 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and we'll be giving it away to a commenter on the unboxing video. That makes my heart so warm to be able to do something and pay a nice act like that forward in the 3D printing community. The 3D printing world is really interesting. I mean, you have people who are taking little budget machines like this Anycubic, and they're doing crazy things. You have people who are using machines like this or an Ender 3, and they're doing like life-size Iron Man costumes and all sorts of crazy wild cosplay things with them. You have people using $10, $15, $50,000 machines in industrial applications. So it's something that everybody can get into, and I think that in the coming years, 3D printing is just going to continue to be more and more relevant. Something that I am hoping is that in the future, companies like Maytag, GE, other home appliance companies will start having like downloadable intellectual property available. So like if you break the knob on your washer, dryer, or stove, they're able to send you an STL and anybody can just print the part themselves at home. I love to make all sorts of things with 3D printing, from these little doodads and knickknacks to something that I use to make money. This is actually a bowling ball holder, and this is a product that I actually am selling in retail stores. Now this one doesn't fit together because I'm trying out a new design to actually make it even better. But that's what's cool about 3D printing is it's all prototyping. I mean, functional, rapid prototyping. Like you saw earlier, I had a problem that I was able to solve with 3D printing while we were sitting here on the stream hanging out having fun. And that is really cool. That's one of the things that excites me about the technology is anybody gets to bring their ideas to life. If you can dream it up, you can 3D print it. And that's a ton of fun. And to be able to have a platform like this to share my enthusiasm and love of 3D printing as a whole, I think is really cool, because of people making videos about 3D printing in the past, like 3D Printing Nerd and Thompson Ladderer and CNC Kitchen, that was what helped to spark my initial love and passion for 3D printing and got me into it almost 5-6 years ago. And it's something that in all of that time is really stuck with me is the passion that individuals like that have, and wanting to help and encourage more and more people to get into 3D printing. Whether you're using it in a professional sense to make products that you're selling, or you're a really big Jurassic Park fan and you want to print fossils that you couldn't go out and purchase. For me, it's a lot of fun because honestly, if you have a home computer and you can pay for everything, like the printer and materials, basically anybody at this point in time can start 3D printing and making really cool stuff. Whether it's functional, whether it's fun, whether it's decorative like this bunny trooper helmet or my Cubone skull that I make my dogs wear in pictures. 3D printing is something that is becoming more and more accessible as time goes on, and I'm really happy to be able to try to be a part of that. So every 250 subscribers that we gain on the channel, for the time being, we are going to be giving away a spool of Polymaker filament to people who comment on the videos. We're going to pick a random video and a random comment on that video, and anybody who was eligible and for the time being lives in the United States, unfortunately, will be able to receive some filament for free. And one spool of filament goes a really long way in powering your creativity and helping you to express yourself in a physical medium, whether it's fun or function. And I love it. 3D printing is something that I've been excited about since I was in high school, and a teacher showed us a documentary about 3D printing, and ever since then it's just blown my mind, the things that I myself can make, largely due to the support of awesome creators on websites like Thingiverse and Printables, because I don't have the first idea how to model a dragon skull, but I could go onto that website and I can find a dragon skull to make, and then like a day later I'll have a dragon skull. What am I going to do with it? I have no idea, but I wanted to make it and it's fun. And for me, I think that's what's really cool about 3D printing. 3D printing is fun. It's an incredibly powerful technology that'll let you do pretty much anything that you have in your imagination, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. I think that's about all the time that we have for today. It's been a lot of fun to sit here and hang out and get some things made, get some things taken care of. And I'd absolutely love to continue the conversation, so follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and let's talk about what everybody's making. Thanks for hanging out.